Welcome to Wrestling with My Brothers, bringing wrestling from our family to yours.
Hi, welcome to Wrestling with My Brothers. And first on today's agenda, we are going to announce the first ever Wrestling with My Brothers champion. And it is yours truly, Emily Shaneman.
Yeah. I got screwed.
I just think I got 100% on the 4 matches we predicted.
It was three
The host of the
matches.
show is the first champion. Weird.
Yeah, seems rigged to me. Seems rigged.
Yeah, I called up AEW, told them the results I wanted. They just made it happen.
Interesting. Well, let's move on because we're done with that. And we don't want to hear about that because it ain't going to be for long. Let's talk about this week and what got you to where you are now. Starting off, we had Cody kicking off the show with a promo about the TNT Championship. We then moved on to Chris Jericho and Tony Schiavone running down the night. Started things off with the Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin match where Darby Allin won to move forward in the tournament. Moving on from there, we got to hear from Matt Hardy and the Broken Brilliance, kind of talking to Chris Jericho in the inner circle in a promo. Following that match, we had Kenny Omega's match against Alan Angels. Omega came off with a victory after a fairly longer match. We then had Scorpio Sky with a promo going through his journey to AEW. We got to see a little preview of the Young Bucks match at home on the Being the Elite's 200th episode. Orange Cassidy took on Jimmy Havoc. Orange Cassidy coming out with the win there, giving Emily 2 points, or 3 points if you count the Omega match. We then had MJF addressing the universe about his terrible injury of a hangnail and the life-threatening surgery he was going to have. Following that was Wardlow versus Lee Johnson. We then had Justin Law versus the Exalted One, Brody Lee. Got to see Justin Law there again. Another Bubbly Bunch episode. And then we ended the night with Dustin Rhodes versus Kip Sabian, with Dustin Rhodes picking up the tournament win to move forward in the evening. And that wraps up what AEW looked like this week.
Lots of matches.
Yes.
Maybe too many.
Lots of matches. I feel like this was a much better show than last week. I mean, we have to keep remembering, we're dealing with no crowd, wrestlers in the crowd, which they do a good job. And honestly, we got to see quite a few matches with not all of the star power that they normally would have because of the current situation. I thought they did really good. The matches, even with the jobbers, even with who was probably where you knew a winner going into it, they were still pretty decent matches, or they were sold pretty well. And then the ones that had the big star power with the tournament matches and the Orange Cassidy and the Jimmy Havoc, you really never knew who was going to win. And I just loved it. I thought it was really good. I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10. The circumstances, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. But for a regular show, I'd say 7 out of 10.
I enjoyed it. It was just a little too much for me. And not a single women's match, which I'm okay with because the women's matches haven't been my favorite thing, but I'm also kind of sad because I want that to move forward and advance. And if there's no matches, how's it supposed to do that? So there were some matches of the night that really made this for me. I'm also going to give it a 7 out of 10. I don't know why. I'm just feeling really nitpicky this week.
Feeling a little pessimistic. Hey, the women's, they may not have had a match, but they had a good highlight. One of the highlights of the night. So, there's that.
Yeah. Penelope Ford always saves the day.
Yeah, I felt like for me this week was definitely jam-packed full of content, and I agree that there was a lot of matches. Every match seemed like it mattered at least a little bit. Even the matches where it was kind of just giving another guy a win, it was still good to see like Kenny Omega back in action. I feel like not only a lot of matches, lots of promos too. There was a ton of talking going on during this week. Basically anybody who wasn't in the ring was talking at you. Right. But agreed, there was no women's matches. There was no tag team stuff. It was all about the tournament to me. I felt like this week was just very tournament focused, other than a couple of matches here and there where they're working on some rivalry stuff.
Yeah, I think the rivalry piece is a big piece. I felt like this week, especially compared to last week, moved storylines further. Last week, it kind of felt a little bit stale. We talked about, didn't really feel like anything really mattered. they were just like padding records. But this week it felt like they were moving things along with the promos or the matches, and it was nice to see. So I agree with you there.
What would you rank it, Ethan?
Oh, probably around the 7 out of 10, like you guys, maybe a 6 out of 10, just because it almost felt like 2 episodes. Like I was watching enough content for 2 weeks worth of AEW that they just kind of shoved into one week. And I walked out of it. I ended up having to watch the highlight reel after I watched the full show because I couldn't remember everything that happened.
Yeah, I did the same thing. So I feel you there. So yeah, a lot of content, a lot of good stuff.
Well, from there, then let's jump into, shall we start with our worst moments this time and our worst matches and then go into the best, kind of mix it up from last week?
Let's end on a high note since it was a better show.
Exactly.
All right. So, okay, my worst match of the night is going to go to the Wardlow versus Justin Law match. So
Lee Johnson.
Lee Johnson.
Oh, Lee Johnson. Oh, yeah. Justin Law was
Brody
great. Not great either.
Loved Justin Law.
No, stop.
I really enjoyed the build up to that match with like that promo beforehand, and then like watching Brody Lee really like it did what it needed to do. The Wardlow match just didn't do much for me. Like, yeah, you got to see how strong he was, but to me it was kind of boring. You knew he was going to walk away with it from the start to finish, and I didn't feel like he looked that powerful. Like, he looked powerful. It was just like, okay, it didn't really do it for me. So that was my worst match. My worst moment this week, though, is going to go the Bubbly Bunch. That was cringeworthy. Even Jericho could not save that segment, and it was awful. I cringed the entire time. It was terrible. I couldn't handle it.
I love the Bubbly Bunch because it's so cringy. It's just such low quality that it makes it kind of fun.
It doesn't make sense because they're trying to make it look like they're doing the whole Zoom webcam thing, but then there's a camera on them with their cameras and their phones and computers. And it's like, wouldn't it make more sense if they did it like through this angle of like a Zoom angle? I just don't understand it. And it was way cheesier than the week before and did nothing for me.
It reminds me, like, if you picture a stereotypical dad trying to make a fun, hip video, that's what it feels like, and I love it.
Yeah, I hate it.
Ethan, Bubbly Bunch, be the tiebreaker. Love it or hate it?
I just thought it was nothing. I don't know. That was one of the things I forgot happened, and so when I watched it on the highlight reel, I was just like, oh, yeah, this is okay. I don't know. I fall so in the middle with this because I love all the wrestlers in the inner circle except for Ortiz, that they can be cringy because I know when it all comes down to it, they're all really good wrestlers. So they're just having fun, and you can tell that they're kind of enjoying themselves being the mix of like they're kind of heels, but they're also funny, but they're also powerhouses. So it's kind of like a little bit of everything. They're just entertaining to me. So I didn't mind how cringy it was because I know that they're good.
Fair. All right. Well, I guess that goes into my worst moment or worst match, which was just Wardlow versus Lee Johnson. Because it, like you said, Derek, it didn't do anything for me. And then my very worst moment of the night, I'm sorry because I love this character, but Orange Cassidy broke his character for a little bit and it took me out of it. And it was my least favorite thing that happened in the night. When he got so hyped after his move and he started bouncing around the arena, like pumping his arms. It was not Sloth Style. It was not Orange Cassidy. It was the person who plays Orange Cassidy just being hyped about wrestling kind of coming out. And I was a little sad because for the rest of the match, he did a phenomenal job at being Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I think you haven't watched enough Orange Cassidy matches because that's always how he wrestles. He does the Sloth Style, and then he gets pumped up, does really big moves, celebrates, and then loses or wins. That's just always how his matches go. In the indies at least. So I think it didn't bother me because I've watched him wrestle a whole bunch, and that's typically how it goes.
Maybe I do. I'll go back and watch it. I just was shocked when it happened. It's pulled out.
I personally actually thought that was one of the best things to advance that story between like the Superbad duo and then Jimmy Havoc against like the Best Friends, because you saw it get to him. Like that was what I loved about that match. is that Jimmy Havoc was getting to Orange Cassidy to the point that he had to break character and break like that cool composure he has. And the whole time, man, Jimmy Havoc was just like taking it to him. And I just really appreciated like how much of a fight it felt like. And then it made Cassidy break. So I'm actually excited now, even more so than I was last week, about where this feud is going to go, because it's starting to get to people. And I really like that piece. And I think that actually made the rivalry rather than took away from it.
Okay.
But I can definitely see where you're coming from, because like Orange Cassidy does have that character. That's his whole gimmick, is that he has the sloth style. So seeing him break character can definitely take you out of the moment. I just think that there's more to it than him just, he's not breaking his gimmick. He's evolving as a wrestler, I think.
Okay, yeah. You guys kind of convinced me. Now I don't know if that's my least favorite moment anymore.
But for me, I think for my least favorite match, it has to go to Justin Law versus Brody Lee, because I liked the promo so much beforehand. I thought it built up like kind of this mystery behind like who is it that Brody Lee's talking to, getting to join the Dark Order, and like cementing the Dark Order as this thing you should be afraid of, this like these people behind the scenes. But then the match was just so dumb and it was over so quickly. I think again and again, Justin Law came out and did nothing. He was so boring and not a wrestler.
No, Justin, best. He's the best.
He sold it, Ethan. He did his job.
Or Brody Lee did his job with somebody who was ragdoll for him. So I don't know. I think that was my least favorite, because I want Brody Lee to be wrestling big threats. I want him to be the exalted one. I don't want him to be out here squishing ragdolls and beating up on a training dummy. So I guess it seemed like all the suspense from the promo was lost because he just came out and squished somebody who never was going to win anyways.
Well, I guess it's a good thing he's taking on a real opponent like Marco Stunt next week.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I think Brody Lee should be going up against, he should be going up against like Jack Swagger or Jake Hager. Sorry.
Who's Jack Swagger?
Jake Hager. Wardlow. Let's get a Wardlow Brody Lee match. We'll get two monsters in the ring. I don't know. Give him somebody that's not 5'0" and weighs the same as me.
So easy to throw around. But Justin Law, I completely disagree with you. Justin Law is a gym, and he's going to make it so far in the wrestling business. I love him.
I disagree with that. I enjoy his sales. I think he's good for this time era, but he's not going anywhere, at least in AEW.
We'll see. I have faith.
I think Justin Law is the new Kurt Hawkins. He'll be the man with the longest losing streak.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
I just like the concept of a likable jobber reappearing rather than just random people that we don't know very well. So to see Justin Law 2 weeks in a row, I liked that.
I mean, if you want to talk about a likable jobber, Lee Johnson did amazing. He was athletic, fun, put on a good match, even though he was up against someone like Wardlow.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he seemed more like an actual opponent than Justin. I think that they were just kind of feeding Justin some funny moments. One jobber I was not happy to see come back was Shug D.
He was just in the crowd,
hanging out in the crowd. That means he's still there. Get him out. Gosh. But anyways, so that's how I feel about your guys' worst moments and my worst moment.
All right. Well, then we move on to the best of the best.
Okay, so favorite match and favorite moment. Well, my favorite match is actually going to maybe surprise. Well, oh man, this is a hard one because I had two that really popped into my head. One was that Kenny Omega match with Angel. Like that was amazing what they were able to put on. But there was some really good storytelling in the Sammy Guevara Darby Allin, and I really loved that match from start to finish. So I'm going to, because we already knew Omega was probably going to win, I'm going to go with Guevara and Allin as my best match because I didn't know at any moment who's going to win. And the storytelling along with the wrestling, it just was a good match start to finish. My favorite moment is going to go to Cody Rhodes' opening promo. It gave me chills and got me so excited about this tournament, and what this title means and stuff. He delivers promos with such intensity and like in a dramatic fashion that he just holds you on with every line. You're just hooked. And so between that, the start of the show was amazing to me. It kind of pushed me through even the lesser moments because it was so good. Like the start of the show was like a 9 out of 10 for me.
For sure. I can agree with that.
See, look at that. My picks were so good, it stumped both of you. You had nothing to come at me with here.
I just agree with it because Cody did a good promo and that match was so much fun. I was watching with a non-wrestling fan who watched Darby get hit by Sammy on that ladder and they jumped. They jumped.
Yeah. Yeah, because it hurt. Everything looked like it hurt when he had his ankle. Every time he had his ankle, his finisher at the end, like how he did the roll up on Sammy with the ankle and like all tied up, that looked so painful and like so real. Everything they did was just like the cutter that happened. It was all amazing. Like, and they sold everything so well.
That's just Darby Allin matches for you. I mean, he delivers every time. I said last week I thought Sammy was going to win it because last time Darby and Sammy met, Darby won, so I figured they'd give it to Sammy. But I'm happy to be wrong because Darby Allin's so much fun to watch. Him versus Cody next week is going to be electric, just like the first time they fought. I think it's going to be –
You mean Dustin?
Yeah.
He hasn't beat Dustin yet.
No, Darby –
No, he goes against Cody.
Yeah, Darby goes against
Darby
Cody.
Goes against Cody.
Dustin's against Lance.
Yeah, I'm just hoping
try and come at me like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Listen, I got confused because old Emily posted about her dream match, so for some reason I thought it was happening this week.
No, and I think they're really building something pretty good here. To agree with your Cody's initial promo and his promo in the middle of the show, both of those were pretty good. I think they're building a lot. They're building this tournament up quite a bit, and I think it's going to turn into a pretty exciting finale.
Yeah. For getting so much flack about like the TNT name and stuff and naming a title after the show, like after the network, I think that they've done such a good job of building it that it makes you hold on to something during this time where they don't want to really do a lot of title matches. And so I loved it. That whole match when Sammy caught him in the backbreak rack that he does the go to sleep in, I was like, this is it. Every moment I was like, oh, he's got him here. Oh, he's got him here. And it just went back and forth. I loved it from start to finish.
So wait, Ethan, what did you say was your favorite part then? Or were you just commenting?
Oh, I was just agreeing and disagreeing with Derek.
Sounds good.
I think for me, favorite match-wise, I think when we're talking good storyline, good build-up, good back and forth, I think the Dustin Rhodes and Kip Sabian was super good. You have the high-flying athletics of Kip Sabian. He's going to deliver a pretty good show every time. He's super entertaining, super athletic. Penelope Ford adds a whole nother level to those matches. But then you add in the storytelling that Dustin Rhodes brings to everything. I mean, that whole match, you've got a beginning, middle, and end, and you can clearly follow it, which is it's so nice to watch. But at the same time, you're never sure who's going to win it. I rooted for Kip Sabian last week, and again, I'm happy to be wrong. I think Dustin Rhodes is great. I think him versus Lance Archer is going to be a really weird match, but I'm really excited to see it. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford getting involved, but I don't like Brandy very much.
Yeah.
And I think for her to kind of shut down Penelope Ford is a little strange to me because I've seen Brandy wrestle so many times and not do well that having her put down a talent like Penelope Ford seems a little strange to me. But overall, great match. Favorite match. Favorite moment, though, that Scorpio Sky promo really hit me in a place that not a lot of the other promos did. I think his emotions and genuineness during that promo was really solid. I think he is – because he's such a, like, showboater in the ring. You know, he always likes to come out and talk the talk, but this was a moment to actually look behind the scenes and see a real genuine emotional Scorpio Sky, and I liked it. So that's probably my favorite moment.
Aw, I love that. I agree with your thing about Brandy, but I love that Jericho called Brandy out when she didn't go stop Penelope the first time.
Yeah, it was good commentary.
Yeah,
I will say, though, that spear was nice. That was a nice spear. Like, that was crisp and looked good.
She's been practicing. And then also, like, for the women, I know Dustin is their promo coach. And I listened to him talk a little bit about that on the AEW's official podcast. I will say, though, Ethan, with the with the Dustin match, I thought that Aubrey was a little off her game, or Dustin didn't kick out in time, because there were 2 times where it was awkward, and it definitely was a 3 count because she has that consistency with her counting, and it looked like she hit the mat, but she had to like do that referee push.
Right, she hit the elbow and then pulled back. Yeah, I saw that too. I think, Ethan, I agree with you on a lot of fronts with that. I think the Dustin match was really good. Obviously, I was kind of torn between, like, there's all these really good matches. I just feel like maybe I was looking for a little bit more, like, excitement, and I didn't really feel like that one gave me quite as much excitement, but it is a little bit more of Dustin's more of a story-based wrestler anyways. And he had his new finisher, the Code Red's awesome. I love that. Anytime you can see like a Panama Sunrise or anything like that, I think that's such a cool move. So it was cool. For me, it didn't quite do what the other good matches did.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I think it just, I don't know, maybe with it being the main event, it just hit me different because it was right at the end of the show. But those are my choices. So live with it.
And I will say, I almost wish he hadn't said that, like, if I lose this, I'll retire, because then you kind of almost knew he was going to win.
Yeah,
like, he's not
I did feel that.
They're not going to have him retire during, like, quarantine when there's no live crowd or anything, to, like, give him the proper send-off. So I almost wish he didn't do that because it alluded more towards the fact that he was going to win. But what are you going to do?
He's still the natural, still one of my favorites. Just my favorite match, though, I have to agree with Derek. It was Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara, because it was just so, what a great way to start out the show. And then my favorite moment was in the same match that my least favorite moment was from. I loved when Orange Cassidy won and he just flopped. He just like...
Yeah, he returned back to that sloth style. See, so that was
well,
good.
And then he got his butt beaten up.
Yeah. And then they had a great promo after. See, it was a good build-up, him.
Yeah, they had a great promo. Have you changed your mind about how you feel about the Havoc, Sabian, like, pairing, those two being acquainted? Because you felt like it was awkward last time.
It's still weird. I don't really see the connection other than the fact that in, like, real life they're roommates and, like, they're both from England.
Yeah. They're English and they're bad guys.
Right. I guess I look for a theme usually of some sort when you're making, like, pairs, especially like a stable where you're going to have a girl in it. I sometimes don't mind, like, when you have tag teams where they're complete opposites, but for some reason with having Penelope Ford in it, I wish there was a little bit more similarity throughout, but we'll see what they do with it. I mean, who knows? They could be giving Jimmy Havoc some more development and kind of trying to get him away from being just known as the deathmatch guy so he can have more than that. So I don't know. We'll see. I like watching this combination so far with all 6 of these people, but it's still a weird pairing to me.
Just like a quick note on Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, I feel like their kissing has gotten less, which is just weird.
Troubles
especially
in the home.
Because they just got engaged.
Yeah, they did just get engaged.
Social distancing, guys. They can't do that.
Which I think they're actually building towards, because of that, Emily, now you say that, towards a Cody and Brandy versus Kip and Penelope. Because if you watch the AEW Dark match with Cody and Brandy, they were kissing way more. And then to have that Brandy and Penelope thing happen, I think there might be some mixed match challenge, or not challenge. I hope they don't call it a mixed match challenge, but doing some mixed tag team stuff. And I know Emily was really hoping for that. So
yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on to the star of the night, if you feel like there was one.
So I definitely feel like there was one. Let me pull my guy up here in my notes. So I would have to go with Alan Angel is my star of the night. And here is why. Omega is always good, right? But Alan Angel's not only helped Kenny look really strong in doing all the sells and stuff that a Jobber would be, but he himself looked like he could take on anyone else in the company other than Kenny after that match. And, like, took a match that I thought was a surefire thing and had me a couple points question, is Kenny going to go down here? The thing with the apron pull was awesome. Like where he pulled the apron out, like he pulled the apron up and then Kenny went to chase him. And when Kenny went to chase him, he pulled it out and tripped Kenny.
Yeah, that
and
was
then
great.
he did like some cool cut. Like he did a cool cutter. I think he did like an enziguri at one point that was nice. And everything he did just looked good. And I was like, man, this guy's fun to watch. He's pretty cool. Unfortunately, Jericho kept getting his name wrong. But I think he took what would have been an okay middle piece and made that good beginning last longer. So he is my MVP of the night.
With the backbreaker move that messed up in that match. See, I just was nitpicky all night. I don't know what was wrong with me. There was a moment in where Kenny did a backbreaker to Angels. Who messed that up? Because I don't really know how that works. It was just really awkward and he kind of slid off.
Yeah, I can't even remember that move in particular. I guess I was focused more on the positives. But most likely, Kenny's pretty technically sound. So probably Alan. But if you look at that being like his first match and he comes in against Kenny Omega and puts on a hell of a match, to me that says something about him. And had he not had a good match with Kenny, we would have had a good starting match and a good ending match and some one okay match between some squash matches. And I think he is what kept that lasting longer because of his performance.
For sure. I think that my star of the night would probably have to be, I really don't know, but I'm going to go with it being Darby Allin, just to be able to take that opening move as the opening move, not like towards the end of the match or anything, to start the night out with that. So Darby Allin is my number one. I wanted to say that it was Dustin's because I love Dustin Rhodes the most, but Darby, he stole my heart tonight.
And Darby's moveset's so cool.
Oh, ending with the Last Supper? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darby knows how to take some punishment, and that really adds to the show. Like, it's like a train wreck you don't want to stop looking at because he just gets the crap beaten out of him, and then he does it right back to his opponent. So always good for a good match. But for me, I think I've got to go with someone who's been more of an MVP of, again, we talked about MVP of quarantine last time. I'm going to keep it going with Penelope Ford. I think watching her last week and this week just kind of come in and steal the show. Like, she's not even wrestling, and she's the thing that is most exciting about some of those matches. She was in there during the Jimmy Havoc and Orange Cassidy match. She was starting some crap with the Best Friends, and I loved watching it. And then she was there for Kip Sabian's match, and her and Brandy got into it. So overall, I just think she's really fun to watch, and she's not even wrestling. So she's definitely going to be the star for me. Definitely for this week, and I might amend my last week pick to her after this week. So I think she was really good. But
I agree with you how good she was, but I feel like it's almost a slap in the face to the rest of the show to not pick one of those others. But I mean, you've been wrong before, Ethan.
No, he's 100% right this time, Derek. He's 100% right. Penelope Ford should be recognized. Good job, Ethan. Good job.
I don't know about that, but 2 versus 1, I guess I'm not saying she was bad. I'm just saying MVP.
She was the most exciting thing about the show.
Sorry, Darby Allin. I'm just going to go and agree with Ethan. Yeah, Penelope Ford.
I don't know. I just feel like I really feel like she's making her a name for herself without having to wrestle. And normally a character like that I would be hating on. And I would be like, man, she just needs to get in the ring herself. Because that's how I was with Maurice on the other show. I hated her because she was only that ringside girl. But I think there's something different about Penelope Ford. And I don't know if I could put my finger on it if you asked me to specify, but there's something about her that really makes her a lot of fun to watch, even though I haven't seen her in the ring.
You need to go and watch that dark match then.
Yeah.
She had a dark match right before, and it was really – you just see her athleticism. I don't think you always see that with the, female managers.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying she's even better than I'm saying? Yes,
I would say she is even better than you're saying, but I would not say that she wins MVP on an exciting night of wrestling.
All right. Well, Derek, do you have any news, or Ethan, for Wrestling World today?
So we have a little bit of news. Obviously, we had that promo with Brody Lee. They were bringing in a second person, or not a second person, I think like a 10th person to the Dark Order. And it is a man that he's 28 years old, and he's an ex-athlete. I thought they were actually going with his real story. Turns out he doesn't actually play football, or never played college football, but he's a big guy. And his ring name, because he had an older name, Preston Vance. So Preston Vance used to go by Cody Vance, has had some like a debut in WWE as well as in, I want to say, one other show, Impact, yeah, and a Ring of Honor. But what they're saying is that it's really surprising how quickly he's climbed into this position, because he's only been in the business for 5 years. And he's like kind of an athletic anomaly, big dude, 6'2", 240. But a little bit disappointing news, I think, to a lot of people, because they were thinking it was going to be one of these names that came from the other company. And it ended up just being a potentially great person, but somebody that doesn't really have a name. So that's the news I have that's relevant to this week. Any thoughts?
I mean, I didn't really think much of it or give the promo too much thought. But what about you, Ethan?
In the moment, I was kind of excited because of the whole, in the promo, he's looking at like a newspaper clipping that says something about like a Heisman Trophy winner. I was kind of excited because I thought it would be like an actual football name that was coming over. I guess finding out that he's not, that's just part of a storyline, isn't cool. I mean, but that's just me because I'm also a football fan, so that would have been like fandoms crossing over. But
right.
I don't know. I'm excited. I do kind of like having these, I don't know, I don't want to call him a no-name, but a no-name person come up into AEW. I think that's always better than having someone who has already made a name for themselves, because it's kind of hard to separate when they already have a persona and then they're coming over here for a new one.
Right, and being a part of the Dark Order kind of gives them a springboard without having to do much like promo work and stuff like that. So they get that experience, especially these younger guys. So I like that. Mm-hmm. Ethan, I was the same way. I was really hoping it was either going to be like an EC3 or like an actual football player that was like coming over, or maybe someone we knew. And so I was a little bit bummed. It does turn out he was a collegiate athlete. I believe it said he was like baseball and hockey or something. So he's an athlete, and he is somebody who like is going to look the part of what he's supposed to do and is going to have some of that background. But yeah, a little bit disappointing, I'd say, for news. I wish I could have come in and been like, it's EC3, but it's not. So that's all we got for news this weekend.
All right, sounds good. Then I am putting my championship on the line because I am a fighting champion. Not that I have any choice with this podcast of what kind of champion I want to be. So we'll go over the matches that are announced for next week and everyone make their picks.
Okay, sounds good. This is my week. I can feel it because there's more than 3 matches.
I've got this. All right. So I'll announce them and then just whatever you guys are feeling. Brody Lee versus Marco Stunt. I think we're all going to say Marco Stunt, right?
You can say Marco Stunt all
I'm not
you want.
saying it.
I am going to go with Brody Lee as my guy. I think Brody Lee could beat almost anyone in AEW, especially Marco Stunt. But I'll just throw in a little predictor that he goes over the barricades at some point. Like almost out of the ring over the barricades. I just have a feeling that. So,
yeah, I'm going to go with Brody Lee as well. I think the only thing I could say about this match other than Brody Lee's going to win, maybe we see Luchasaurus make an appearance. I don't know. I'm not sure what his status is. I haven't seen him in a few weeks, but if he makes an appearance, I think it'd be great. It'd be really entertaining. It's just a regular match, so it'd be cheating if he came in. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to see him. I want to see the big green mask.
If you couldn't tell, I was being sarcastic. I'm definitely going Brody Lee as well.
I don't know, Ethan. I heard her say Marco Stunt, and so I think that's her pick.
I was joking. So next we have Cody versus Darby.
Oh, this is where we're all going to split, I feel like. I'm going to go Cody. I think he's just – I could see him giving it to Darby, but I think I'm picking with my heart. I'd rather see Cody move on because I love his character and I love what he does in the ring.
I'm going to agree with Derek here. I think it's going to be Cody. I think not so much even going off of my heart. I really genuinely think after the promos that we saw with Cody tonight, especially the one with Cody on the phone with Dustin, I think the end of this tournament is going to be Cody Dustin.
I can see it.
Definitely going Darby Allin, so I guess I'm going the opposite direction.
You just want that dream match.
That belt is mine.
No, it's mine. Dream match, but I genuinely think this will happen because I think it's way too soon to do a rematch after there's no beating their last match. That was beautiful and the highlight of Dustin's career. You can't remake it.
Well, if he retires after he loses to Cody.
Yeah, that would be pretty poetic. All right, and then after that we have Lance Archer versus Cody.
Dustin Rhodes.
Versus Dustin.
Rhodes. I wrote Cody twice.
See,
I'm so sorry.
You have two Rhodes in there. You don't know who's going against who. Okay, mine. I'm gonna build towards that Cody Dustin one. Do I? Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go Dustin. I think it would be so great to have them go against each other again for the championship. So I'm gonna go Dustin.
I'm also going Dustin.
I already said what I thought about that. So Dustin all the way, baby.
All right. For this tag team match, should we pick who pins who? Because I think Ethan and I might be having the same picks otherwise.
Yeah, let's do it. Who pins who? So a point for if the match is won and a point if you guess who pins who correctly.
All right. So what's the match? Give it to me.
We got Best Friends versus Kip and Havoc.
All right. I'm going Best Friends over Kip and Havoc. I'm going to go Beretta over Kip Sabian.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to go Best Friends as well, but I'm going to go Chuck Taylor over Jimmy Havoc.
Ooh, okay. I'm not going to go Best Friends. This is Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc's night with Kip pinning Chucky T.
Emily going against the grain. So either you're going to run away with this, Em, or fall flat on your face. And that belt is not going to be flat on the floor with you because it's going to be on my shoulder.
Nope, not going to happen. I'm going to retain this belt for weeks and weeks to come. All right?
This hypothetical belt.
Belt isn't created. Maybe I'll need to start working on that. Get the actual belt rotating.
Well, and I think the best part about AEW is that I could definitely see myself being wrong on all of these answers. Maybe except the Brody Lee one, but I could see Darby Archer for the tournament finale.
Well, and that's what made this week so good, right? It was like I feel like every week we just don't know for sure. Like that's what's so great about when you watch AEW compared to other companies. You just don't know. And so it could literally come down to you versus me in the Best Friends match, or we could all be throwing it around. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait to watch. I'm excited for next week. The only reason I was excited for this week was because the week before sucked. Now I'm excited because I feel like we're on a roll. So let's keep it going.
Heck yeah. All right. I think I'm going to end the podcast on that note because it's a good note to end it on.
Thanks for listening to Wrestling with My Brothers. We hope to catch you next time.